see the complexity of this problem and the vastness of it. And then we will realize that we are going to have to forget some of these so-called organizational principles and organizational aims and objectives, and realize that the real principle, the real aim, and the real objective is a solution to the problem.
A police state. Just make the Negro neighborhood a police state. It's the most heavily patrolled. It has more police in it than any other neighborhood. Yet it has more crime in it than any other neighborhood. How can you have more cops and more crime? Why? It shows you that the cops must be in cahoots with the criminals. You make my point. That as long as a white man does it, it's all right. A black man is supposed to have no feelings. We want freedom by any means necessary. We want justice by any means necessary. We want equality by any means necessary. We want it now, or we don't think anybody should have it.
So whatever kind of action program can be devised to get us the things that are ours by right, then I'm for that kind of action no matter what the action is. I don't think when a man is being criminally treated that some criminal has the right to tell that man what tactics to use to get the criminal off his back. When a criminal starts misusing me, I am going to use whatever necessary to get that criminal off my back. And the injustice that has been inflicted upon Negroes in this country by Uncle Sam is criminal. Don't blame a cracker in Georgia for your injustices. The government is responsible for the injustices. The government can bring these injustices to halt. And what you and I have to let the man know is we are peaceful people. We are loving people. We love everybody who loves us. But we don't love anybody who doesn't love us.
They should not allow another person to give them a prescription of how Africa should look like or what we need in our Africa, because we know what we need in our Africa.
Another bold and fierce African blood speaks up. Listen up, Africa. The First Lady of Sierra Leone, Fatima Madabayo, just dropped some truth bombs in an interview with Harvard. She ripped the lid off how the West and even the UN are playing us for fools when it comes to our minerals and our leaders. She didn't sugarcoat a damn thing. She outrightly explained how those who often try to stand up for their people often become hot targets. But here's the kicker. Her words aren't just about exposing the problem. They're about igniting a fire in your belly. If you're tired of seeing Africa get screwed over, this is your fuel. Get ready to feel that African pride roar back to life, because liberation isn't just a dream, it's within reach, and we're taking it. This is Uplifting Africa.
The kind of mineral resources we have in our country is enough to take care of everybody in that country. We should not have a single poor person in Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, we are not given the free will to make decisions on our own mineral resources. There's always Big Brother who decides. And when you fight and say, no, we are not going to do this, they use the system to stop you. It's either they set you up with the opposition and they'll be supporting the opposition against you from the back, or they cause unnecessary chaos in your country so that you are not able to even govern your own people. They will do things to make you not to be functionable. And of course, any country that don't have peace cannot develop. You have to have peace before you talk about development. I'll give you a simple example about Sierra Leone. Every mining company that is in Sierra Leone today is owned by a foreigner. Every mining company. If it's not the Chinese, it's the American, it's the British. Our electricity, Bumuda, is run by the British, and we still don't have light. We're looking for light, electricity. If you don't have electricity, how can you talk about education? How can you talk about health facility? How can you talk about improving the infrastructure of your country? We don't have electricity. Now, do we actually even have proper water, pipe-borne water, so that our kids will not be sick? We don't have those facilities. Why? With all the minerals we have, there is a cap you put. Before my husband became the president of Sierra Leone was benefiting, they said, what's the word? 0.000.1%. What is that? Basically, a company can take as much as $100 million out of the country in terms of minerals, and then they can just give the country $10,000. Now, what will $10,000 do for our health system? What is $10,000 do for our educational system? You cannot be coming to our country and take everything that will make us develop, and then you still treat us as inferior people, as if we don't know what we're doing. I think that is wrong. And these are the things I believe that are stopping Africa from progressing. We don't have a say. The sense about us celebrating independence, I don't know why we celebrate independence, because we are not free. That is my own take. I'm not speaking also on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone, nor am I speaking on behalf of His Excellency the President. I am speaking as Fatima, as a citizen of a country who believes that things need to change. In Africa, you should not have a leader that is assertive, a leader that knows what his people want, a leader that wants to change what is happening. The moment you have that, it's everyone's target. And then they find reason to slow you down, they find reason to stop you, and they use that system of corruption. They use corrupt people, they use negative people, they use unpatriotic citizens to come after a government who is doing what is right for a system. I think we need to address those issues. Unfortunately, I don't know I'm very good at name calling, but at the moment, I don't know who I should be screaming at. One of the most serious issues I have with the United Nations is the fact that Africa is not part of the Security Council. We're talking about 54 countries, I'm sorry. 54 countries, a whole continent does not have one person representing Africa when it comes to decision making at the Security Council.
And I'd observe also that no African country has its own executive director at the World Bank either.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, folks. Once again, this is Frank. We're going to start the show at 1 p.m. So right now, as usual, it's just a prelude just to, get you warming. Yeah, this is a show that we don't play. This is WCC. So we don't care whether you are an African, but as long as you are not on that African agenda, we are coming after you. So we don't care if you are a black man. We don't care. Even if you are a black man and you are not doing the right thing, we are coming for you. This is a different generation. A generation that don't care who you are. As long you are not speaking the African agenda. As long you are not speaking the black agenda. Because everyone are speaking their agenda. What is our agenda? So if you are not part of our agenda, as a black man, we are coming for you. This is WCC. We're gonna start at 1 p.m. And as usual, today we're gonna be in Ghana. We're gonna hit Ghana, not in a negative way, but a former president. We're gonna be talking about Burkina Faso today. The wonderful job Abraham Traoré is doing. This is freedom time. Africa must rise. And those who put Africa in the positions to which Africa is in today, they must fall. Those who put Africans in a position to where they are today, those people must fall. No empire stay forever. Those same people destroy the Mali Empire, they must fall. Those same people destroy Timbuktu, the empire of today, what we call Zimbabwe, the Songhai Empire, or the Gold Coast. Those people destroyed. They came to land our civilization and destroy our civilization. And then lied to us says everything in Africa was produced by alien. Was it alien they came and met? When Socrates went and landed in Ethiopia, went and landed in Egypt, Africa, did they land through alien? Did alien teach them? Alexander the Great, so-called, when they got their education in Africa before going to Greece, did they see alien? Oh, okay. Today, anyway, we're going to be in Burkina Faso, the great land of the upright. Watch.
Yes. We don't know how to manage money.
I think I'll have to disagree with you.
And what do you want me to say? Because if that is the perception since the beginning of, every time an African come forward for something that they have to be a decision maker for the world, not just Africa. It's just not possible.
I understand.
So what can I say? There must be a prescription somewhere that says, Africa, you are not good enough.
Well, it might be revolutionary, but I'm going to say it right here. Africans should be in charge of Africa.
I believe that also that Africans' issue can only be enhanced when Africans decide to do that. They should not allow another person to give them a prescription of how Africa should look like or what we need in our Africa, because we know what we need in our Africa. No one will know that better than us. And I think the UN should see Africa as partners. And the United Nations, definitely, you cannot have 7 countries vetoing everything. When it comes to Africa issue, it is those 7 countries. Who are the countries that are actually exploiting Africa? They're the ones who have the veto power to make decision on anything that has to do with Africa. So for me, I think that is wrong. And that is one thing the president of Sierra Leone has campaigned for. And this year, Sierra Leone is now a non-permanent member at the United Nations. But yet still, we don't have a veto power. But we're there. At least we're getting closer. And in these 2 years, our mission is to get the United Nations to see Africa not as one country. Because that's the mistake they do. When you say I'm from Africa, they say, oh, you're from Nigeria. I said, no, Nigeria is one country in Africa. We have 54 countries in Africa. So see us as a continent that also what we offer to the world, Europe does not have it. What Africa gives to the world, Europe don't have it, America don't have it, Asia don't have it. Because we are not mining in China, we are not doing any mining in America or mining in Europe, but they're doing it in every part of Africa. Not just Sierra Leone, go to Democratic Republic of Congo, go to Botswana, go to Angola, go everywhere there is mineral resources. It is the West and the Chinese who are there. When you come to Africa, ask me what is it that I want. If you ask me what food do you want to eat, I'll tell you I want to eat rice. But then if you come to Africa and bring me spaghetti and said, I want you to eat spaghetti, that you're imposing on me. With everything that we have in Africa, for all the people or all the organizations or all the companies that are coming to take from us, for once, see us as partners. For once, treat us with respect. And then help us develop. Because when we're developed, doesn't mean you will not do your mining. It just means you'll be changing lives and changing lives in a positive way. So by depriving us that development, by depriving us that opportunity for us to be able to be self-sufficient, for me, that is what is wrong. And that is why I am not able to stay silent.
Please support our effort to scout the internet and bring forth uplifting updates about the mother continent.
Genocidal country. When I look at my own country, the United States, it is a semi-democratic, white-dominated, hierarchical, racist society that aims to preserve privilege by the elites. That's how it was formed in 1787. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country, killing Native Americans for a white culture. But amazingly, it still looks that way, although we're much more diverse now than we were. The most violent country in the world in the 19th century, by far, was perhaps the most democratic or second most democratic, and that was Britain. You could be democratic at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States. It's been by far involved
Jeffrey,
in more,
stop
wait,
now.
in more
Let's
wars.
Jeffrey, I'm your moderator, and it's enough.
Okay, I'm done. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country. When I look at my own country, the United States, it is a semi-democratic, white-dominated, hierarchical, racist society that aims to preserve privilege by the elites. That's how it was formed in 1787. It was a slave-owning, genocidal country, killing Native Americans for a white culture. But amazingly, it still looks that way, although we're much more diverse now than we were. The most violent country in the world in the 19th century, by far, was perhaps the most democratic or second most democratic, and that was Britain. You could be democratic at home and ruthlessly imperial abroad. The most violent country in the world since 1950 has been the United States. It's been by far involved
Jeffrey,
in more,
stop
wait,
now.
in more
Let's
wars.
Jeffrey.
Must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. We must unite now. We We must have one army.
But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing it.
The Tapper Market. Spiral rise.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the horn of Africa.
All right. Good afternoon, folks. Once again, this is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series as part of WCC. So today's topic, it says, why was Nana Akufo Addo, the former president of our great mother Ghana, Mama Ghana, right? Why was Nana Akufo Addo so ungrateful to Burkina Faso after all this? Why was Nana Akufo Addo, the former president of Mama Ghana, the former president of Mother Ghana, why was he, Nana Akufo Addo, so ungrateful to Burkina Faso after all this? And then next we're going to be looking at which says and more. What is our more? The next topic we're going to be looking at after Nana Akufo Addo ungrateful attitude towards Burkina Faso, we are going to be looking at the next topic or the next issue that says April 5th, Anti-Trump Day. April 5th, Anti-Trump Day. As they say it, I put it in quote. Not me saying it, right? But this is what I want to say before we even get to the topic. To my black brothers and sisters, my black fathers, mothers, uncle, auntie, my black people, my wonderful people, my lovely people, don't be part of that march. Do not go to Washington, D.C. I repeat, do not go to Washington, D.C. That fight is not your fight. April 5th, do not go to Washington, D.C. to march. You are not anti-Trump. The topic for that march or the title for that march is anti-Trump. Get in mind, you are not anti-Trump. You are not anti-anybody. You don't hate anybody. They cannot create their enemies and then make you to go and fight their war. Imagine, before Trump became president, there are hierarchy that did not want him. There are hierarchy that did not want him. And they fought so hard so that he can get to the presidency. But they did not win. There was also assassination attempt. They did not win. Now Trump is there. They are going to use people and people like you because you know how to march, right? You know how to march, right? They are going to use people like you to go there. So the title of that march is anti-Trump. So they have already made you or made you an enemy to Trump or made Trump an enemy to you. Don't fall for it. Because the last time we checked, there have been police brutality. No one fought for you. No one ever called for march. Don't go there. It's not for you. Let them go there. Don't be part of that march. And I will tell you what you should do that day when that day come. Anyway, let's get back to the first topic. But before we get to the first topic, let me see if I can play something, and I will start with that. Let me see if I can play something here. I will use that. And you know, that will put me in gear. Yeah. You know how it is. You know what we do.
We go there for their resources, oil, metals, cheap labor. We don't go to bring democracy. We took this land from the Indians. We stole it. After we stole all the land we need, we put up the sign, "Thou shalt not steal." Democracy is a con game. It's a word invented to placate people, to make them accept a given institution. All institutions sing, "We are free." The minute you hear freedom and democracy, watch out. Because in a truly free nation, no one has to tell you you're free. Well, this system right now is moving toward fascism, cutting back on the freedoms, what little freedoms we had. We never had complete freedom. Social change cannot come about due to intellect. It comes about by people suffering. And the more people that are laid off, the more they lose respect for an existing government, they will seek another direction. If there are too many people seek a new direction, then the existing government calls upon the military and police to manage society. That's called fascism. We don't go to another country to bring democracy. We go there for their resources, oil, metals, cheap.
All right, let's get started. You don't go to a continent to preach about democracy. You go for the resources hiding yourself. Because you went to DRC Congo, you preach about democracy, but you are there looting and supporting proxy war. You have all these foreign companies in DRC Congo. You have United Nations in DRC Congo. I thought United Nations is an entity for peace. But the United Nations is there stealing and looting the people resources. You don't go to a country and tell them how to live. Meanwhile, in your own country, you do not practice democracy. You do not go to a country imposing a system of government on them and you telling them it is a system for all. You don't go to a country where you are now welcome and the people don't want your system. And the leader of that country want to create a system like Burkina Faso, like Mali, like Niger. They want to create a system for the people, but you are against that system that will work for the people. You are against it. You want to impose a system that will not work for the people, but a system that will oppress and subjugate the people. A system of government, a system of democracy that will continue to loot and manipulate the mind of the people, oppress the people, put the people in captivity. Is that a system you want to create? This is a new millennium. We are not in any form ready for any government or names, as you can call it, coming from the US. This generation, at least a generation, have come to learn that the United States, Europe, I mean, those colonial, those colonizers, those enslavers, they mean no good. If they meant good, they was never going to enslave Africans. They was never going to colonize Africa. And they were never going to kill African leaders, great leaders. Why would they partake in killing African leaders? They partook in killing Lumumba, Sankara, Gaddafi, Amilcar Cabral. They partook in the removal of Kwame Nkrumah. Many ways. They partook in the killing of kings, Dr. Kings, Malcolm X, all these great African leaders. They have never, ever been in a position to remove corrupt African leaders, but they support African leaders who are corrupt. Why Nana Akufo-Addo was so ungrateful to Burkina Faso after all this? What is that? Let's get to this. You know, we don't care whether you are an African leader, because as an African leader, you're supposed to rule for Africans, not rule for America. America rule for Americans. European ruled for Europeans. Chinese rule for Chinese. So why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for Africans to rule for Africans? Why is it so hard? Every nation in this world rule for their people, and nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, there is nothing wrong with American ruling for the interests of America. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's the best thing ever to do for an American president, to rule for the American. In fact, that's the best thing ever to do for an European prime minister or government or entity to rule for the interests of Europe. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with Chinese government ruling in the interest of Chinese. Even it means to go to the length of another country to get their resources, as long as benefiting China, improving China, giving better life to Chinese, it means nothing to them. They will go there. And that is why you have American companies in Africa. You have Chinese companies in Africa. You have European companies in Africa. Australian companies in Africa. Israeli companies in Africa. Indian companies in Africa. But where are the African companies in America? Where are the African companies in Europe? Where are the African companies in China? Where are the African companies in India? Where are the African companies in Australia? And the list can go on. Malaysia. Where are the African companies? Haven't we realized that Africa is the mother of the world? Haven't we realized that Africa and Africans people have been bullied by the same people in Africa who are taking African resources? Haven't we realized that it is the same people who have been producing or providing ammunition, creating proxy war in Africa? Haven't we realized that? The reason to which they do not want to promote education, healthcare, facility, you name it, infrastructure, the reason why they don't want to do it is because they do not want to open your mind. They want to continue to exploit your resources. Why was Nana Akufo-Addo so ungrateful to Burkina Faso? And this is not only Nana Akufo-Addo. I mean Ekwa. I mean Tinubu. I mean Alassane. I mean Macky Sall at that time when he was president for Senegal. I mean William Ruto. Why were they so ungrateful? Why are they so ungrateful to the African continent, to the people they serve? Ghana input from Burkina Faso was was 208.82 million during 2023. During 2023, the same time that Nana Akufo-Addo came to the US and sat down with his son, no, not son, his master. In fact, that's the right way. Why I call son? The same time Nana Akufo-Addo came to the US and went and sat down with his slave master, Anthony Blinken, where Nana Akufo-Addo was the slave, acting like a slave, told his slave master, let you go to Burkina Faso and wage war. Burkina Faso was an enemy, but at the same time, the same Burkina Faso was feeding the citizens of Ghana. At the same time, the same Burkina Faso was improving the economy of Ghana under Nana Akufo-Addo, the slave, the puppet, the bourgeoisie. According to the United Nations country database on international trade, Ghana import from Burkina Faso data historical chart and statistics was last updated on March 2025. And let me say this before I continue. Kudos to His Excellency, the new president-elect of Mama Ghana, John Mahama. Kudos to him for recognizing such a contribution from Burkina Faso to Ghana. And not only Ghana, Burkina Faso have been a major producer of most or some of the commodity to the African region. Why is it so high for African leaders to understand? No matter how you will get millions of aid from the US, it will never improve Africa. No matter how you will get millions of aid from Europe, it will never improve Africa. And in fact, those money that go to Africa are not aid. It is the same African resources. That is why you have all these foreign companies. While we're a continent depend on India, when they suck in the African resources, then they manufacture it, they sell it, then they make millions of dollars and then take few couple of dollars and give it to us. Then we say India gave us aid. When American companies are looting the African resources, and then at the end, they give a little thing, then we say America gave us aid. When Europe, they are looting the African resources, then at the end, they give a little thing, then we say Europe gave us aid. When France is looting the African resources, at the end, we say France gave us aid. But again, we don't blame those people like we always say here, and we have said here numerous times. We do not blame Europe for what they do. That is how they do to survive. They need to survive. We do not blame the US for what they do. That's what they do to survive. And what you do to survive, you will continue to do it. And in fact, it means that will be more sophisticated. We do not blame China. We do not blame India. At this point of time, even though we may continue to point fingers and hands, but we need to point fingers and hands at the right people, and the right people are the African leaders. Because most of them are dumb and stupid. Some of the African leaders are the stupidest human being in the world. Some of the African leaders are the dumbest human being in the world. I don't even know why God put them in a part of Africa to make them an African, because they are so dumb and stupid. Some of them. So, let's see some of the commodity. This is from 2011 to 2019 right here, the chart. But it's actually dating back to 2023. When Nana Akufo-Addo, the ungrateful African leaders, one of the most ungrateful African leaders ever in the history of Africa, come from a land of noble, a land of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and you were selling another African nation to the West, to the enemies, looking at the role of Ghana. Look at this right here. So honor Nana Akufo-Addo. This is not honor the new president. In fact, the new president, as we've been following him, and we're going to do more story about him, his collaboration, his work with the AES nation. Because some of the ECOWAS nation, like Africa, Ouattara, have tried to convince John Mahama to go to Burkina Faso, the AES nation, to bring them to ECOWAS. So up to now, some of these dumb and stupid African leaders have not yet learned. They have not yet seen the dream, the vision of the AES nation, because they still live in a delusional mind and continue to hallucinate when they go in bed and lie down in bed with their wives. They continue to hallucinate about how they will continue to satisfy their slave master. But look here, Ono Nana Akufo Addo. Oh, sorry. Oh, what did I do here? All right. I think I'm stay here. Okay. Good. Now, look here, Ono Nana Akufo Addo. This was during the time the US, the EU, okay, France, and the rest told Nana Akufo Addo to go and wage war on Burkina Faso, on Mali and Niger. But look here, during this time, Ono Nana Akufo Addo, during this time, see what Burkina Faso did. See what the people of Ghana and Burkina Faso were sharing. And this is not only Ghana. All right? This go to the other African nation, the ECOWAS nation, that Burkina Faso was feeding their belly. Now, Ghana import from Burkina Faso. Look at this right here. Oil seed, or legit fruit. I don't know what is that, but grain, seed, fruit, right? Even wheat, edible fruit. I mean, everything. Look right here. This 17.1 or 117.96 million. And then another one here, 15.111 million. Another one here, electronic equipment. Because as you all know, the AES nation, when it comes to copper and all of those things, right? France carry and manufacture it and then bring small to Burkina Faso. And then Burkina Faso now ain't no supply all African nation. But look here, electronic equipment, 6.91 million. 2023. All right. Live animal, 3.53 million. 2023. Right? Animal, vegetable fat and oil, right? 3.12 million. I mean, look at all these things. Look at all these things here. Look at all these things here, right? Machinery, nuclear reactor, right? 2.20 million. 2023. Aluminum, 807.22K. 2023. Fertilizer, 639.12K. Right? Cotton, the AES, they are known for cotton production. Cotton, 605.04K. The list go on, right? Let me just go through. So the list go, I can't go through the whole thing. But see everything here. These are produce that was coming from Burkina Faso going to the Ghanaian market, that was enabling Africans, Ghanaian, right, to have businesses, to sell, to be able to earn income for their family, to send their children to school, their loved ones, so that they can depend on government. This was continental trade. Do you see the importance of continental trade, intercontinental trade? So you see, right here. So all of these things were coming from Burkina Faso. Everything here were coming from Burkina Faso, boosting the Ghanaian economy on Nana Akufo Addo. But a man being so ungrateful, one of the useless president, African president we ever had in the African history, from a noble nation, the Mama Ghana. These are all 2023. All these you see here, they're all products. They were all products from Burkina Faso. 2023. Look at them. You see right here. All the way now, coming to 2022. Right here. 2022. Ono Nana Akufo Addo. 2021. 2017. 2016. 2011. as you can see from the chart here. You see? So these are the things, right? The West does not want to see intercontinental trade, but they want for all these things to leave the African continent to go to the West to boost their economy. So a slave puppet, a Negro P, right, a bourgeoisie like Nana Akufo Addo, came to his slave master Anthony Blinken, asking him to wage war on Burkina Faso. Meanwhile, the citizens, the lovely people, the sweet people of Mama Ghana, see what we are getting from Burkina Faso. And in return, Burkina Faso as well, we are getting income to boost their sector, which the West did not want. Forget about even removing puppet government. But look at this trade. Now, Burkina Faso receiving this money. The farmer of Burkina Faso are producing these things. They're getting this money, improving their farm, their agriculture. And at the same time, the entrepreneur or the buyers from Ghana, right, improving their business or their businesses. Nana Akufo-Addo under his government, improving his economy. He still hated Burkina Faso. He still hated Abraham Traoré to the extent Nana Akufo-Addo wished the assassination. I will say this, I believe he wished the assassination of Abraham Traoré because the fact that he came to the same people who did not want Abraham Traoré. He came to the same people selling Abraham Traoré to the same people, asking them to wage war on Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. He wished their assassination. Nana Akufo-Addo, where were you so ungrateful against African empowerment, African improvement, African liberation, with all what was taking place in your government, under your nose, what Burkina Faso was doing for Ghana? And in return, we can say, yes, Burkina Faso was receiving the money, but again, we call that battle system, battle trade, right? Even though you are not giving me food, I give you the food, but I'm getting your money. It's still the same thing. We still both benefiting. So instead of us waiting for the white man or the European to come and get these things for a little of nothing and take it to Europe, we were doing it among ourselves. And the money staying on our continent, in our community. Why do you think America don't want to build factory in Africa? Europe don't want to build factory in Africa. China don't want to build factory in Africa. Why do you think they don't want to do it? Because they want for the money to come and circulate in their system. And they build factory in Africa, you will not be manufactured in Africa. Now they have to buy it from you. And when they buy that from you, the money will stay in Africa. Instead of you flying, taking plane, coming to Africa, buying it and putting it on ship, going back to Africa. Nana Akufo-Addo, why were you so ungrateful? And when this happened, folks, in return, what did Abraham Traoré do? Well, you want to blame Abraham Traoré? Absolutely not. Let's see this. Let's see this here. Exactly. It's true. Some of us suspect President Ahmed Sékou Touré, Guinea, was poisoned as well. Oh, yes. They kill African leaders because that's why we have the bourgeoisies. That's why we have bourgeoisies among us. It was not for nothing. You got these bourgeoisie then there, right? But let's see what Abraham Traoré did afterward. When you want to blame Abraham Traoré, and this is what exactly John Mahama is working after. He don't care about the West. Because John Mahama as a president is saying, if Donald Trump care for Americans, I must care for Ghanaians. I must care for Africans. All African leaders are saying, if the European leader so much care about their people, why can't we care about our people too? And that's the language of Abraham Traoré, Assimi Goïta, Tiani. That's the language of those people of the AES nation. And that should be the language of all African leaders. Now, you see, John Mahama is very smart. He studied the economy of Ghana, the economy of Africa, I believe. I'm not speaking for him, but that's my perspective. I believe. I am not the government mouthpiece. All right? But I believe, from what I know, what I have researched, and what I have been seeing him doing as we have been following him, I believe he studied the economy of Africa, all right? And what he think need to be, should be, ought to be in the best interest of African. And I believe being in the best interest of African, that doesn't mean you don't care about the rest of the world, because the rest of the world, what they do is for them. That doesn't mean they don't care about the rest of the world. What Donald Trump is doing, that doesn't mean Donald Trump don't care about the rest of the world, or he don't care about other people feeding. No, what he's doing it because he cares about America. His belief is America. His belief is when he wake up tomorrow, he should see America to the next stage. He should see America economy improve, American system improve, education improve, healthcare system improve, more job improve. So why should we have problem? That's Donald Trump belief. What is your belief? What is your perspective for tomorrow? Donald Trump believe if he don't cut down some of these so-called aid that are going to African nation, I want to be specific, creating proxy war, disease, chaos, I mean, you name it. Ebola, coronavirus, polio, all these things were man-made to destroy African HIV. To the extent a white people have come out to say HIV was specifically created to destroy and eliminate Africans. Professors, white professors from France, doctors, they said they themselves went to South Africa, Zimbabwe, those places, and they were injecting people with HIV. They were injecting Africans with HIV. They created it, and the purpose was to destroy Africa. Why? Because they need your continent. That is why the only continent in the world right now, everyone are there exploiting and mining resources, not African themselves, the entire world. They all are in Africa mining our mineral resources. They all right now, except the AES nation, but all over Africans do not have entitlement. What is the independent? Like the current first lady of Sierra Leone, Madam Fatima. She said, "What is the purpose? What is the need of celebrating African independence?" Because the truth is, Nkrumah is not satisfied. The truth is, like Nkrumah just wrote, Sekou Touré is not satisfied. Sankara is not satisfied, but now Sankara is getting satisfied because of what is happening in Burkina Faso. Before then, Sankara was not satisfied. Lumumba is not satisfied of what is happening in DRC Congo. Lumumba is not satisfied with African leaders because that is not what he stood for. Lumumba still see his people suffer. Lumumba still see his resources get out of DRC Congo, go to the US, go to Europe, go to Asia, go to China, go to Australia. Lumumba is not resting in peace. For each time on our day come and he said, rest in peace. No, they are not resting in peace. How can they rest in peace when the same people that killed them, killed Gaddafi, when Gaddafi stood for the same thing they stood for? How can they rest in peace when the same people that assassinated them want to assassinate Ibrahim Traoré? For the same thing they stood for, Ibrahim Traoré are standing for the same thing and they want to kill him. How can these people rest in peace? How will I rest in peace when I was killed for something that I believe in and someone who have come and doing the same thing and they want to kill that same person? Or they want to kill that person. How can you tell me rest in peace? What I stood for, what I believe, what I wanted have not yet come to fruition and you telling me rest in peace? Now, until Africa can stay still to how Nkrumah wanted it, Nkrumah will never be in peace. until DRC can be free, where Africans will do their own thing. Lumumba will never be free. Sankara will never be free. Amilcar Cabral will never be free. They will never rest in peace. But let's continue here. Burkina Faso banned grain and cereal export to Ghana. Well, you want to blame Burkina Faso? No. This was not under the new president. This was under the current, the old president, the bourgeoisie president, the slave president, the puppet president, Nana Akufo Addo. After Abraham Traore noticed that this is what Nana Akufo Addo was doing, Nana Akufo Addo wanted to see his removal. Nana Akufo Addo wanted to see that he should be assassinated. So he saw that Nana Akufo Addo was even worse than the enemies. So he saw that ECOWAS nation put sanction on them. Yes, ECOWAS put sanction on these people. So that's how these people say, Abraham Traore said, how can the same people that are free put sanction on me? So he said, okay, I will take my food from my people because I cannot sell my food to you. Your people cannot come here and finish my food. And we have nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. So if you put sanction on me, we are going to feed it. Let's see what happened here. By the way, this is a current president right here, John Mahama, one of Africa's best, as we believe, from his position right now, from his stand, his view. For now, we believe. And I think he will not deviate like Nana Akufo Addo, the puppet. Now, Accra, in an unexpected action, Burkina Faso government has banned that shipment of grain and cereal to Ghana. Yeah, this was during the time America told Nana Akufo Addo, we will bring cereal, we will bring grain from Ukraine. How will you continue to believe people who lie to you? Anyway, let's continue. On February 5th, 25th, 2025, Ghana Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration declared that this decision, which was informed to Ghana via a joint communication on December 19, 2023, at that time, under the puppet leader Nana Akufo Addo, will affect input commodities such as rice, millet, maize, sorghum, and white bean, which is also known as cow bean. Now, let me say this, Africans. Africa is rich. Forget about the resources first. Let's talk about the land. We have vast land. Resourceful. Anything can grow. Why should we continue to depend on Europe and America? Why should America tell African leaders not to invest in agriculture? And some of you may not know. You will say, why would America say that? Yes! Because some of these leaders want to continue receiving aid. And you see, the aid that you receive, it comes with condition. Some of these aid that you receive, it comes with condition. And some of you don't know. Because if some of you not hear this video, I don't know what is going on, you will say, I'm stupid. How can America stop or Africa from producing? How can Europe stop or African leader from investing in agriculture and things? Ask yourself, which one of the African leaders with all the aid they've been receiving, which one of the African leaders you ever see heavily investing in agriculture? Ask yourself. Because this aid comes with condition. Some of that condition, the Western nation know that if we allowed Africa to feed herself, first of all, you have your children. Let's do this scenario. You have your children in a house. Your children depend on you at the end of the day for food. Your children know that if they don't respect you, they will not eat. Because in fact, you will tell them, hey, I told you to draw water. I told you to flood a barrel. I told you to do this. You did not do it. You will not eat. And the child know They have nowhere else to go and eat. The child know he or she have nowhere else to go and eat. What do you think will happen? If you start that child for that day and the child didn't eat, and the child have no option, nowhere to go and eat, because the child have been manipulated or brainwashed that, you know what? There is nowhere I can go and eat. There is nowhere I can go and fetch for myself. If my father don't give me money, I will not buy food to eat. If my father don't give me food to eat, I will not eat nowhere. So what will you do? The next time your father tell you go and get water, go and do this, you're going to be running because you want to eat that day. It's the same way that come with this loan, with this pocket change, with this aid. So they tell you, do not invest in agriculture. You can invest, do not invest in education. Have you ever seen any Western nation invest in education in Africa? If they do it, it is not an education that's going to empower you, that's going to create factory, that's going to make you to start building cars, that's going to make you to start building nuclear weapons, that's going to make you to start going to space. It's not going to be, they are not going to give you that kind of education. They are going to give you political education where they will only teach you and not, in fact, they will give you the basics level of political education about democracy, period. Basic. And then they're going to come up with a curriculum. So that's how it goes with this aid. So that's why you don't see African leaders talking about agriculture. Because the moment you start feeding yourself, the moment you start looking after yourself, you don't have time when America speak. You don't have time when Europe speak. You don't have, in fact, you will tell them, shut up. And because they do not want you to tell them, shut up, they want to continue to manipulate and influence you and collect your resources. They will continue to subjugate you, believing that your government will never succeed unless through aid. But at the same time, ask yourself, if our government cannot succeed without aid, why are these people getting our resources? We're going to see an example with France today. Let's continue here. This is WCC. Now, this prohibition, which promise many, has a direct impact on Ghanaian traders and enterprises who import these basic products from Burkina Faso. One of Ghana's key trading partner is Burkina Faso. One of Ghana's key trading partner is Burkina Faso. I know Nana Akufo knew this. But because of the interest of the West, because of the interest of America and Europe, he decided to make Ghanaians to suffer. He decided to make Africans to suffer. And this also go to Nigeria. This also go to Ivory Coast. This also go to Benin. This move may disrupt sharply. This move may disrupt the supply of affordable cereal and grain, which are critical for local consumption, particularly in light of growing food prices. I want to read somewhere and then we end. Hopefully I read it. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated in its release that Ghanaian traders should take timely notice of this policy change to avoid any potential legal ramification or commercial damages. The damage was already done because of a puppet leader like Nana Akufo-Addo. The ministry asked enterprises that import certain commodities from Burkina Faso to comply with the new regulation in order to avoid sanction or termination of trade relations. Now, let me explain this to you, what they meant and who they were referring to. Let me read it again. I'm going to break this down. The ministry asks enterprise. That means the ministry asks business people who went at that time under Nana Akufo-Addo government, who went to Burkina Faso. Because the whole thing here, after they put sanction on those people, right? And when Burkina Faso made the move, right? So these government officials, these corrupt government officials, were now acting in a place to satisfy Europe and America. So they were now telling local Ghanaian or Ghanaian citizens, right, or business people in Ghana, they were now telling them, hey, you have to be careful. Don't go to Burkina Faso. Because if you go to Burkina Faso, America will also put sanctions on us, because the money that will be given from here going to Burkina Faso will stabilize Burkina Faso. Because the main thing was to strangle, you know, the same thing they did to Russia when they put sanctions on Russia, thinking that was going to strangle Russia for Russia to back off. But now knew the sanction was going to affect Europe and America. That's the same way the ministry the ministry in Ghana was telling the business people, you have to comply by this new policy. That means you have to deal with it. There's nothing you can do. You either go to different country and go look for different goods, or you either have to find different alternative of business. But do not go and spend your money in Burkina Faso, because at the end of the day, if America or Europe notice that Ghanaians are leaving from here, going to Mali and Burkina Faso and giving money to them, buying their goods, the U.S. will also put sanctions on Ghana. Or we might lose our trade relation with the U.S. and Europe. Let me read it again. Maybe you did not get it. Let me read it again. When I read it there, Ali, maybe you will understand now. The ministry asked enterprises that import certain commodity from Burkina Faso to comply with the new regulation in order for Ghana to avoid sanction from the US, in order for Ghana to avoid sanction from Europe, in order for Ghana to avoid a termination of trade from the US, from Europe. So you must comply. Citizens must starve and die for the benefit of the elite. Nana Akufo Addo, why were you so ungrateful to Burkina Faso and to Africa at large? Why were you ungrateful being an African leader? You know, being a leader in Africa, not only frank here, not because this Western leader come and put you in power, but let us be frank, being a leader in Africa is a privilege. Being a leader in Africa, you should take it as a privilege to serve your people. It is not an entitlement, because the reason why you people do not see it as privilege, because you are being bonded by your slave master. And I don't blame them, because I blame the election commission in Africa that will always call Europe and America to come be an observer. Meanwhile, America will never call anybody on an election to come be an observer. Meanwhile, Europe will never call anybody to go to European election to come and serve an observer. It will never happen. But African leaders are so dumb and stupid. African election commission are so dumb and stupid. They are dumb and stupid, yes, because they still receive aid. A typical example, Liberia usually receive $1.5 million from the U.S. to increase voter confidence. Nonsense voter confidence. But at the end of the day, that $1.5 million, the election commission take it. But you know what? It is not actually for the purpose of increasing voter confidence. That $1.5 million is a bribe. I want to believe. Let me put it that way. I want to believe that $1.5 million that the U.S. usually get to Liberia to increase voter confidence, they have different alternative motive. And that motive is they bribe the election commission of Liberia to put in government that will favor the United States, not the people. I want to believe, allegedly, I want to believe. That's how it goes. Let me put it in English that way. Let's continue here. The ministry also referred to an earlier communication issued by Burkina Faso government on November 13, 2024, again, under the puppet government, which reiterated that or which reiterated the continued execution of the export prohibition. Why the ban? Now, you see, the Ministry of Ghana at that time, Nana Akufo Addo, they all were corrupt and had no good intention for Africa. They knew exactly what the ban was for. But this is what they said. Why the ban? The reason for Burkina Faso decision to apply the ban are unknown. First of all, why would you say the reason was unknown? The ban only happened at that time when Nana Akufo Addo came to his slave master to tell his slave master, yes, you know, my father was one of those that sold African to the white man, and I still live the legacy of my forefather. So I'm going to sell another African to you, my slave master. So Nana Akufo Addo went and sold Burkina Faso, the entire Burkina Faso, because by you selling Abraham Touare to the slave master, you were selling the future generation to the slave master, to your slave master. You were selling the current generation to your slave master. You were selling the interests of Africa as a whole, because most nations are not seeing the improvement, the progress of Burkina Faso, to the extent even citizens that did not believe, African citizens that thought, oh, Abraham Touare was a cool leader, was a jointer. But today, some of their mind have changed. And that is what exactly Nana Akufo Addo was doing to destroy the current fight for the future generation. So they knew the reason for Burkina Faso's decision to apply ban are unknown. However, it may be related to effort to manage the country's domestic food security. This man did not do it before the betrayal of Nana Akufo Addo. Burkina Faso did not. Thomas Sankara, sorry, not Thomas Sankara. But I mean, it will even be good to still refer to Abraham Touare as Thomas Sankara, because Abraham Touare is the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara. So it's still good. Does Abraham Touare look like a leader that would deprive other African nations? No, let's go to the so-called minister at that time, Nana Akufo Addo. Does Abraham Touare look like someone that would deprive Africans just because they are not from Burkina Faso? Because this is a man that understands the fight of Africa. This is a man that understands that Burkinabés are also Ghanaian, they are in Ghana. Burkinabés are also Togolese, they are in Togo. Burkinabés are also in Africa. They are Ivorian, they are in Africa. Burkinabés are also in Liberia, they are Liberian. Burkinabés are also in Sierra Leone, they are Sierra Leonean. So that means this is a man that understands the African history. That means this is a man that understands that before the 1884 Berlin Conference, there was only one identity. There was no Ghana, no Malian, no Burkina Faso, no this and that, no that and that. Before the 1888 Berlin Conference, this is a man that understands the history that we are all one. People left from the south, they went to the east, from the east to the north, from the north to the west, southwest, southeast. I mean, all around. People went there, they lived there, they settled there. This is a man that understands there were kingdoms, and those kingdoms, they were states, and those kingdoms, they lived in those areas, they spoke the same languages, and then you go to the next kingdom, they spoke the same languages. But equally so, those kingdoms that spoke different languages, they still interchange, they still intertwine, they still did how they call it, their business, they still interact with each other. This is a man that understands that we are all one. There is no Burkina Faso. This is a man that understands there is no Liberia. This is a man that understands there is no Ghana. This is a man that understands the language of Nkrumah, the language of Thomas Sankara, the language of Patrick Lumumba. That is why when he speaks, he even speaks even to leader of South America. So you can't lie to us. Burkina Faso have all right to take stand too against you. We'll take this out. So now, let's see the step of the current president, John Mahama. Let's see what he's doing to restore the relationship between Ghana and Burkina Faso. Not bringing it back to ECOWAS, but at the end of the day, he's saying these people are doing the right thing. And that is why we support John Mahama. We believe he's going to do better for Ghana. We believe he's not going to be a puppet like his predecessor, Nana Akufo Addo.
Thank you for love and support. I appreciate you all. Those who are liking, sharing, and commenting, I say thank you so much. Ghana is here pointing fingers at Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Nigeria, Tinubu, was the first person who was ready to send people to Niger to go invade Niger, go and fight the Sahelian nations. Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara was also the macho man who was willing to go into Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to go and cause havoc. And they also made it clear to us that Alassane Ouattara allowed himself to be used by France to station its bases there, so that with that they can easily enter into Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to cause destabilization. And this was not only given to us by our all in all, our saviors, our protectors. This was also revealed by one military man in Cote d'Ivoire. Yes, that according to the military man, he couldn't just keep quiet and watch these things that the people or the leaders in Cote d'Ivoire were plotting against Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So he has to speak out. So we thought that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso has nothing to offer these people. When things became sad, Nigeria was the first to cut its energy supply to Niger. So we thought that all these things that these nations were doing, these three nations, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cote d'Ivoire, we thought they were self-sufficient. We thought they have everything and they didn't need anything from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. That was why they're trying to pick a beef with them. Not knowing Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, these people can never do without them. Burkina Faso decided to ban the exportation of some cereals to neighboring countries. Yes, a ban. Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, see all these neighboring countries that are depending on Burkina Faso for maize, for wheat, for sorghum, beans, cowpea, and the rest are all in all is saying, no. He wants to empower his citizens, food empowerment and food sovereignty in Burkina Faso. So for that matter, he will no longer export all these things to the neighboring countries. Come to Ghana and see how Ghanaians are crying already. Yes, we are feeling the pinch.
Over 170 million CFA francs recovered by the Burkinabe state between December 2024 and February 2025 as financial penalties imposed on individuals who attempted to export corn, cowpeas, red sorghum, millet, ari, and charity fines. This is revealed by the Economist of Faso through this table he publishes this Monday. Indeed, the government, through two communiques, decided on the temporary suspension of the exploitation of these products until further notice.
Its objective is to support the development of local industries by making these products available, which are used as raw materials by certain industrial processing units in the country. According to the Economic Weekly, 195 bags of 100 kilos of corn were intercepted on February 24th by the ministry's control services, in charge of trade in the Haute-Bassin. 10 tons of charity fines in the southwest on February 7th, and 400 bags of small millet in the Cascades on December 16th. 20 Pati. The newspaper notes that the Cascades region remains the weak link in the system. It is the area where the majority of seizures have been made. The export of these products out of the country is subject to a special export authorization issued by the competent authorities. In Burkina Faso, the production of shea nuts, for example, is the second largest in the world after Nigeria. According to figures from the National Institute of Statistics and Demography, shipments of shea nuts and shea butter generated more than 60 billion CFA francs in revenue in 2023.
The ban by the Burkinabe government covers crops like maize, sorghum, millet, and cow, which are key features in many Ghanaian staples. A new statement this week from Ghana's Foreign Affairs Ministry is warning traders who travel to the Sahelian country to import some of these staples to be wary of this ban, warning that there could be consequences that could range from arrest or a cessation in trade agreements between people who travel from Ghana to Burkina Faso. In several markets in Ghana's capital, Accra, the effect of this ban is beginning to bite.
Now the beans is very expensive. Now 1 cup of beans is 16 cedis, 15 cedis, then 14 cedis. Then the less price is 11 cedis. And that there's no ban to see how we are suffering. Then when it's banned, you can see that you will suffer a lot in this country.
We cannot get the goods or the stuff from the country. We get it outside, which is the corn, whilst we have farmers in Ghana. So it's making the prices go high in the cost of transport and everything.
Burkina Faso supplies several West African countries with agricultural produce. In 2023 alone, Ghana imported more than 160 million euros worth of agricultural produce from the Sahelian country. The new military regime in Burkina Faso mooted this idea for the first time in 2023 to help protect its citizens against the soaring prices of food and to ensure food security at home.
Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Boniface Gambila, has raised concerns about the government's recent decision to impose a ban on the exports of grains without proper consultations with all stakeholders. He pointed out the strong relationships between Ghana, Burkina Faso, and other neighboring countries, which should have been taken into account, as such decisions could have serious consequences if not carefully considered.
I don't know if there was any cross-checking with neighboring countries, because we are supposed to have a policy of good neighborliness. And so it's always good to discuss together to find solutions. Burkina Faso send their cereals to sell to people across the border or across to Ghana. Colleague ministers like that should meet and discuss and find solutions for the people. Because when we try to do things independently, it's like we are still dividing ourselves. Issues of reprisal. You do me, I do you. Those ones are there. That's why I'm saying that normally it would have been good to cross-border discussion. As somebody who has studied economics and agriculture also, in terms of challenges like this, you think of import controls and export controls so that we don't have these problems of ECOWAS and AES separation. As of now, I don't know if we have looked at the quantities of produce that come from Burkina, Togo, Ivory Coast into Ghana. Whether we've looked at that, I don't know if we have looked at the data.
The ladies, thank you for love and support. I appreciate you all. Those who are liking, sharing, and commenting, I say thank you so much.
All right. Now, that is what happened, right? Between the two nations. So, you see, this is why, right? You see, the same way Europe, the European nation, the same way, first of all, let's stop right in America because I'm in America, right? Let me deal with America first, then before going to Europe. Why? Let me say this. Look, any decision America take, let me be blunt and clean and simple. Any decision America make, right? I am not angry at them. No. That's a policy. That's why those leaders are there. Look, why should I be angry if America made decision? Because they see the future of what may affect them. They see the future. And you know, when we see the future, the only way you see the future, what will happen, look, it's not by coincidence somebody will tell, oh, they be that, oh, this person is smart, this person brilliant. Yeah, they might be smart, they may be brilliant. But the reason why you foretell the future, you know why? Because you are in control. That's why you see what may happen next. If you are not in control, you will not see what might happen next. And that is why African leaders can't see the future. They can't see what may happen next in the next couple of years or few years to come. They don't see it because they are not in control. If you are not in control of the wheel when you are driving, you don't see ahead of you. The man or whosoever sitting there at the back, they are not in control of the wheel. So they're not seeing what is happening at the front. All they think is, hey, once I reach my destination, the driver going to stop. So I'm taking a ride. What I'm doing, I'm on a phone. I'm looking on the phone. I'm browsing, or I'm doing something different, or I'm looking through the window, I'm not looking ahead of me because I am not the one driving. So I can't tell what is about to happen or what will happen. But it is only the driver who is in control of the wheel will tell what will happen because the driver is looking ahead. The driver is looking beyond before the driver reaches there. If there's a pop hole, the driver has seen that pop hole from far distance. The driver has seen the feature that if I drive 1 mile, 2 mile, or half mile, I'm going to reach to that hole. So the driver already know once I reach to that pop hole, this is where I need to go. I need to go this way. I need to go this way. Or I need to, whatsoever you need to do to prevent the car from falling or from doing anything. This is where African leaders lack of because they are not in control of where they serve. They are not in control of the way. They are not in control of Africa. So I am not angry if European leaders take action. I am not angry of American government or Washington, D.C. take action. It is because these people are in control of their system. So they see what is about to happen in the future and try to put in policy. That is why in the U.S., I'm dealing with America first because I'm here. That is why in the U.S., they have local policy and they have foreign policy. So they put things in place that even if they leave, the next generation, their descendant will not suffer because they want to lay down a nation. They want to give a platform. They want to give a system. They want to build a country that the next generation will come, will not believe them that, wait, why Donald Trump did not do this? Why Barack Obama did not do this? Why or Joe Biden did not do this? Why Joe Biden did not do this? The next generation of leadership will come and see a system that they will continue with. I am not angry if these people make decisions because it is in their favor, because they want to preserve the future. generation because they are in control of the we. They are in control of anything they do, of anything they believe in. They are in control. Because they were in control, that is why the 1884 Berlin Conference, they said they will make sure Africa and her generation will never ever be free. Why did they say that? Do you think they was going to be alive at this time? No, they knew they will never be alive at this time. So they knew the system they were creating, they created in such a way that when their children come, they were creating a system for their children. Let me say this. History is written in the interest of those who write it and for the descendants of those who will come after those people. That's all about history. History is never written against the interest of those who write it, against the interest of the descendants of those who write it. Period. Simple as that. If you understand that mathematical formula, you will be in control of your thing. If you understand that mathematical formula, you will be in control of your thing. So if Washington DC make a decision today, you think it's about you. They have seen something. If Europe make a decision today, they have seen something that if they don't work towards it, their country will go down. Their generation will go down. And they are telling you, they don't live for anyone. They live for their kids. They live for their children. They live for their people. They live for... That's what they're trying to tell you. That is what they're trying to tell you. But because Africans, we find it so hard to understand these things. And we think without the colonizer, we can't make it. Without the enslaver, we can't make it. Without America, we can't make it. Without Europe, we can't make it. Without aid, we can't make it. But the truth of the matter is, these people, they don't give us no damn aid. They don't give us no damn aid. They take our resources and they come and give us small of a portion of what they make. They make billions of dollars and then come and take 1 million and give it to you as aid, and you think it's actually aid. It's Jimmy Papa. You the crazy? You the mad? You the mad? You don't believe it? Let's see what is happening to France just because of the decision of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Let's now see what is happening to France. Look, if we are not giving our resources to Europe and America, these people will not give us aid. There will be no aid anywhere. If we were in control of our thing, these people will never ever give us aid. They have no aid. These people don't have money to give you. These people have nothing, absolutely nothing to give you. They feed off Africa. They live off Africa. They depend on Africa. Without Africa, these people, they are nothing. They are like a spittle. Spit. You see the Bible? That's spittle. Which is even in the same Bible you read. These people are nothing without Africa. But they are bullied. They're not going to tell you that we depend on Africa, we feed off Africa. They are bullied. They bully you to make it think less important as they continue to exploit you. Why would they get angry if African leaders say we don't want World Bank? Can't you understand? Have you gotten that? Why would they get angry if African leaders say I don't? Why did they get angry when Abraham Traore said I don't need World Bank? I don't need IMF. They got angry. Why will you get angry if you want to so-called free me from my captivity? Oh, I'm a slave. You benefiting from me. I do everything for you. The day I become free, you lost everything. Then you come to me and say, Frank, I want to free you. And you know, the day I get free, it is the the end of your empire, the end of everything you have built is destroyed. Then I tell you, oh, master, no, I don't want to be free. I love the way I be. Will you get angry? That's the time you even go in your closet and say, what? This guy is stupid and dumb. You will never get angry. So why should IMF get angry? If Abraham Tuwari say, I don't need IMF, I don't need World Bank, why should they get angry? They're angry because they cannot control him. They're angry because they know that they are losing money, income. They are losing resources. They are angry because they know that Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they are rising faster. They are angry because they know that in the next couple of years, this nation will be superpower in Africa. They know that in the next few years, this nation, Africans will be living. People will leave Liberia to go to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to live there. People will leave the sub-region to go to Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso to live there. In the next few years, people will go to those nations to claim citizenship. And once that happens, our nation in Africa will not take the model. So that means nation in Africa now will not be saying, if Burkina Faso took her gold mine, now she's processing her own gold mine. Yes. Oh, let me give you one news. I should have brought that article. Right now, Abraham Tuwari just passed a policy. Every university students in Burkina Faso will receive 100K every month while you are in school until you graduate and get a job. Every university student in Burkina Faso will receive 100K CF8 every month free until you can graduate and you find a job. Why is this happening, folks? It's because Burkina Faso was able to take her gold mine from a Canadian company, and now she's processing her own gold. Who told you, African leader, you will not be rich? Who told you you can't be rich if you manage your own gold? Who told you you will not be rich if you manage your own diamond? Who told you you will not be rich if you manage your own rubber? Who told you you will not be rich if you manage your own iron ore? Who told you you will not be rich if you manage your own thing? Who told you you will not be rich if you manage your own uranium? Who told you you will only be rich if your uranium, your diamond, your timber, your iron ore, your rubber leave from Africa and go to Europe and America? Who told you that's how you will get rich? Let's see what is happening to France. I can tell you, in the next few years, France will never give aid to any nation. Yeah. This is, look, you know, those of you that can read the Bible, the part of the Bible I believe is in Revelation that says, one who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. One who killed with the sword shall be killed with the sword. One who led, whether his friend or friend to captivity shall be led into captivity. You believe in the Bible, right? You believe in those things. But still, you will read those things, and when you see it happening, you don't know that the same thing you read, it is what's happening. France will never get aid to anybody as long as they are not getting the 500 billion CFA they used to get from African nations every year. France will never give aid. France will never give aid as long she's no longer exploiting African nations. France will never give aid. The USA will never give aid as long she's no longer partaking in exploiting African nation, in exploiting other nations around the world. As long the USA is no longer doing that, do not have the chance to do that, they will never have aid to give to nobody, because you cannot give aid through printing money. It can't work. Anybody that tell you say people give aid because they want to print out paper, no way. Your money should be backed by resources. Let's see what is happening to France.
To just wake up and hear. Now France is begging Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to reoperate in these three nations. Africa is poor. Yes, Africa will not have anything. But we are the reason to which our economies are moving. According to reports during the COVID-19 era, when other countries sees people from moving to France, Air France was just moving in and out of Africa. Anyhow, even with the dangers and what we were announcing, every other nation was taking precautionary measures to limit Air France, the contact with France. But Africa has been the place in 2020 where France made sums of money. Yes. Dollars, l'argent. The money was just flowing in and out, because as for Africa, we can never say no. African can never say no. So we were just doing yes, sir, yes, sir. When everybody was banning them, we cannot say don't come. We were still allowing them to come. And France made a lot of money. And you see these Francophone nations, they are truly feeding France. They are the reason to which France is France. Ever since they decided to leave and say Air France should not work in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, if I tell you the amount of money that France economy has lost, you will be shocked. This is the amount of money France lost.
Former French President Jacques Chirac once said, France would become a third world country without Africa. Now, it seems to be happening as France and French corporations are facing massive losses after they have been kicked out from Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Recently, it has been revealed that Air France has faced a collective loss of 65 million euros because it was kicked out of the Sahel region. The loss has been so painful that Air France wants to return to the Sahel region. However, Ibrahim Traoré from Burkina Faso and other military leaders in Mali and Niger will never let that happen. So what desperate actions France is making for an immediate return to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and what losses it is facing? In this video, let's know about that. For decades, France relied on Africa as its economic.
Okay, we do not have copyright to this music. First of all, a shout out to the latest. And also because they have some music at the background, we do not have copyright to it, but it is for educational purpose.
Economic backbone, extracting wealth while maintaining geopolitical leverage over the continent. However, after revolutionary military leaders come to power in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, things have changed entirely. They brought a watershed moment for France, a major shock that has rattled France and French companies. The expulsion of French troops, corporations, and political influence from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso has shattered France's economic stranglehold over the region. Nowhere is this decline more visible than in the financial devastation faced by Air France, which has lost over 65 million euros since being forced out of the Sahel. For Air France, the Sahel was more than just another destination. It was a highly profitable monopoly. The airline generated staggering daily revenues, 500 million CFA francs from Mali, 430 million from Niger, and 390 million from Burkina Faso, adding up to over 2 million euros per day. This level of profit was a reflection of just how deeply France depended on the Sahel for economic survival. And we are only talking about one of the hundreds of companies. But with the rise of military-led governments in these nations and their firm rejection of French dominance, Air France was pushed out, cutting off one of its most lucrative revenue streams. The result has been a financial catastrophe, leaving the airline scrambling to regain access to the region. However, the new governments have made it clear that the era of France's unchecked exploitation is over. The revolutionary leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger represent a new era of African governance, one that prioritizes sovereignty over submission. These leaders have taken bold steps to dismantle France's economic and military grip on their countries. That's because they know the reason France has leverage is because of the financial benefits it gets from Africa. If these are stopped, France will no longer have the financial backing that gives it international support. You should know that France has long maintained an image of economic strength and industrial power, but much of its success was built on resources it did not actually possess. Despite having little to no significant reserves of gold, uranium, and critical minerals, France remained a major exporter of these commodities for decades. These resources were not French, they were African. France extracted them from its former colonies, rebranded them as its own, and profited while African nations remained underdeveloped. One of the biggest examples of this exploitation was gold. France has no major gold mines, yet it exported vast quantities of the precious metal. The source has always been West African nations like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where French companies controlled mining operations under unfair contracts. These deals ensured that African countries received only a small fraction of the wealth generated, while the gold was refined in France and sold as a French commodity. On this, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni openly exposed France on live TV. Now, with Sahel nations reclaiming their resources and kicking out French companies, France's so-called gold exports have all but disappeared, revealing how dependent it was on African wealth. The same pattern applies to uranium, coltan, cobalt, and lithium, essential minerals for modern technology, electric vehicles, and batteries. France does not have significant reserves of these minerals, yet it remains an important player in the high-tech industry. But that is changing. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali's rejection of French influence is not just about political autonomy, but also about dismantling the structural economic dependence that kept Africa subservient to France. This movement gained momentum through a series of military coups that fundamentally altered the power dynamics in the Sahel. The overthrow of pro-French regimes was not merely about local politics, but an outright rejection of France's neo-colonial dominance. Paris reacted with fury, attempting to impose sanctions, severing diplomatic ties, and seeking to isolate the new governments. Yet these actions only accelerated France's downfall in the region. Instead of bowing to external pressure, the new leadership expelled French troops, shut down French embassies, and nationalized key industries that were once controlled by French corporations. Among the most symbolic and financially devastating blows was the removal of Air France, cutting off a major economic artery for France. For decades, Air France was more than just an airline. It was a strategic economic weapon, ensuring France's continued control over African air travel. The airline dictated flight routes, monopolized key connections, and extracted wealth from the region while reinvesting little into local economies. Air France maintained a near-total monopoly on flights between the Sahel and Europe, keeping fares artificially high while providing subpar services compared to other international carriers. This system funneled enormous sums of money out of Africa and into French corporate coffers, reinforcing France's economic grip on the region. However, when the revolutionary government seized power, they began to question why Air France was allowed to operate so freely while contributing so little to African nations. When the airline abruptly suspended flights in response to political changes, the Sahel nations responded by banning Air France from returning and exploring alternative partnerships. Mali's Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop openly criticized the airline's arrogance and exploitative business practices, exposing how it routinely canceled flights without accountability, stranding African passengers in Europe and elsewhere. He pointed out that such reckless behavior would never be tolerated in the US or other Western nations, yet Air France felt it could do as it pleased in Africa. That era, he stated, is over. If Air France wants to return, it will stand in line like any other company, without privilege, without special treatment. France is no longer in control. Africa is. But if Sahel nations have successfully expelled France and its corporate interests, why is Air France so desperate to return? The answer is economic survival. The loss of the Sahel has been an absolute disaster for France. French corporate dominance was built on the ability to control African markets, ensuring that everything from uranium to air travel remained under French control. With that system now crumbling, France is facing an economic crisis it cannot ignore. Yes, Air France's expulsion is part of a much larger collapse. One of the most severe blows to France has come from Niger, a country that has been the backbone of France's nuclear energy industry for over half a century. Orano, formerly Areva, France's largest nuclear energy company, depended heavily on Niger's uranium mines, fueling a power grid that provides over 70% of France's electricity. Before the coup in Niger, the country supplied nearly 35% of France's uranium at exploitative prices. Yet Niger itself received only about 5% of the profits from its uranium sales, while France pocketed the rest. When Niger's new military government came to power in July 2023, they immediately suspended uranium exports to France, saying that Orano plundered the country's wealth while leaving its people in poverty. The consequences for France were immediate and severe. French nuclear plants, heavily reliant on Niger's uranium, were forced to scramble for alternative suppliers from Canada and Kazakhstan at significantly higher costs. Orano's mining operations in Niger came to a halt, leading to billions of euros in projected losses. More importantly, France lost its cheapest and most reliable uranium source, further increasing its domestic energy costs and threatening its energy security. Meanwhile, Niger has begun renegotiating uranium deals with Russia and China, ensuring that France will never regain its monopoly over Niger's uranium reserves. Beyond uranium, the Sahel region is rich in gold, lithium, coltan, and other valuable minerals, resources that French companies have historically extracted with minimal compensation to African governments. But with Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso now prioritizing resource nationalism, France's mining industry is collapsing. Gold mining, long dominated by French-backed firms, is now shifting into the hands of new partners. Mali, Africa's third-largest gold producer, has expelled French mining firms and is now working with Russian and Chinese companies. Burkina Faso, which produces over 50 tons of gold annually, has imposed strict regulations on French companies, making continued operations nearly impossible. Niger has also revoked several gold mining permits previously held by French firms, cutting off yet another lucrative revenue stream that once flowed directly to Paris. This collapse of French gold mining interests has hit major corporations hard. Endeavour Mining, which has deep French ties and significant operations in Mali and Burkina Faso, is now facing serious restrictions and the potential nationalization of its assets. Bolloré Group, which previously controlled the logistics and transport of French mining companies in the region, has lost key contracts and is being rapidly replaced by Chinese and Russian logistics firms. With these developments, France's ability to siphon off Africa's gold wealth while keeping local populations in poverty is coming to an end. Another major loss to France's declining economic control in Africa is Total Energies, the country's largest oil and gas company. For decades, Total Energies maintained dominance over major oil fields in Chad, Gabon, and parts of West Africa, securing cheap energy resources at the expense of African nations. But as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso sever their economic ties with France, Total Energies is seeing its once profitable operations crumble to a halt. Niger has frozen oil exports to France and is now prioritizing trade agreements with China. Mali and Burkina Faso have also turned to Russia and Middle Eastern nations for energy partnerships, effectively sidelining Total Energies from the region. Without access to these African energy reserves, France is now increasingly dependent on expensive imports from the Middle East and the United States, a situation it has long wanted to avoid. Furthermore, France's economic woes in Africa extend far beyond natural resources. Infrastructure projects, once a French stronghold, are now being redirected to other international partners. Historically, French companies like Vinci, Bouygues, and Eiffage controlled the construction of highways, railways, airports, and hydropower dams across West Africa. These projects were typically awarded through corrupt contracts that ensured billions in African taxpayer money flowed into Paris while local economies remained underdeveloped. However, the new leadership in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger is dismantling this system. French firms are now being replaced by Chinese, Turkish, and Russian companies that offer more equitable partnerships. Local African businesses are also being prioritized over French firms, ensuring that infrastructure investments remain within Africa instead of being siphoned off to Paris. The collapse of Bolloré Group, which once controlled Africa's largest network of ports, railways, and shipping routes, is one of the most striking examples of this shift. With Sahel nations severing ties with French infrastructure firms, France is losing billions in logistics revenue. This change reflects a broader trend that the days when France dictated the economic policies of its former colonies are over.
Within this period, though. So when it happened, Captain Ibrahim Traore said, okay, fine, this is even a good initiative because you are empowering us to do more, to also do something. Why is it that Air Burkina is there? I have to revive Air Burkina so that Air Burkina will be doing something and be generating income.
All right, shout out to the latest. She's in Ghana too. She's doing a very great job. She based in Ghana. So shout out to her for this video that I got. All right, so again, if this is happening, right? Do you think the West, the colonizer, the enslaved, they will ever be satisfied for a change in Africa? Absolutely not. Now, have you seen how France have lost billions of data, right? Millions of data. Look, African nations, the corrupt African leaders. You see what? No. Let me say this. This is why some African leaders, right? They are visionless. Most of them, they are visionless. And those African leaders who are visionless, they are the leaders who are against Abraham Traore, Assimi Goïta, and Tiani, so to speak, the AES nation. The corrupt African leaders are against those people because those people are making it difficult for the aid to come to the corrupt African leader, to the visionless African leaders, because they do not have vision to do exactly what is going on in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Not only that, because they hate their country, they hate their countrymen, they hate the people they serve, they hate Africans. They do not want it good for Africans. That is why they don't like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to move forward. And it is time that Africans, we made it known to the corrupt African leaders who don't want to do the right thing, that they hate us. They hate Africans. It is time that we take things into our own hand. Had it not been that Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they took matter into their own hands, had it not been they did that, all the achievement today those nations are achieving, they were never, ever going to achieve it. If you want to be free, you cannot live in silence. If you want to be free, you cannot live without work. Today, The reason we do not have, even though we have the prison plantation, but the reason we do not have the physical cotton plantation, the physical sugarcane plantation, the physical act of hanging, lynching, beating, raping, the physical act of feeding black baby to alligator. The reason why today we don't have it, it was not because the white man, it was not because Abraham Lincoln went and signed a paper for slaves to be abolished. Even though we know in 1865, slave was not truly abolished. Because the Constitution says you are still a slave when you go to the prison system. When you commit a crime, you are still a slave. And because they put that clause in there, when you commit a crime, you are still a slave, that's how police patrol came about. That is another history. That is how police patrol came about in the US. That is how policing, if you want to understand where policing came from, it came from those times. But that is another discussion. So it was the African men and women who fought to be free. And they have kept silent. There were still being plantation, cotton plantation, sugarcane plantation. There will still be lynching. The white man was never ever going to feel sorry for you to free you. The slave owner was never going to feel sorry for you to free you. The slave owner did it, told Abraham Lincoln, you know what, we got to do something. It's because at that time, they felt threatening. They felt that, no, these slaves, if we continue, we will end up becoming their slave too. Because they will overshadow or they will overpower us. And when they do that, the agony, the frustration in them, they will make us the slave. It was not because the slave master wanted to see the slave free. That's how they went and took pen and paper. We will not give them the credit. We will give the credit to the people who fought for it. It is out of ignorance. It is out of ignorance. You will give the credit to the men who rape your mother, who rape your father, who rape your sister, who rape your brother, who rape your auntie, who rape your babies, and then come back and write the history. Write his story. And then put himself or herself as the savior. And then you go and honor that man. How can a man who rape your mother, rape your father, rape your sister, rape your auntie, sell your baby to alligator, live babies to alligator, and then the same man come and write a book and say he is a savior, he was your savior? How did he become your savior? Please make me understand. So, without the African resources, these so-called superpower, they are dead. They will never give you aid. In a few years from now, France will never give aid to any African leaders. France will never ever give aid to anybody because they play the resources were coming from. They play the money were coming from. It is no longer coming from there. France have no money. France have nothing. Few years from now, the US will not even give you aid. It's already happening. You think the decision these people making of the USAID, you think they have seen the future? These people have nothing to give in aid. It is your resources that they exploit you, they take advantage of you. They have nothing to offer you. They live off you. They are like parasites living off Africa. Have you seen a parasite being or how they call it? Being beneficial for the people? No. How will you be feeding people? Also of your nation, also of your race, also of your identity, also of the people that you serve, also of the people that you represent. And then come back, they'll same people, then come back and mock your people. They'll see people come back and say you are corrupt leaders. They'll see people come back and say, you know what? If we allow Africa to have a veto power on the United Nations will be meaningless. The United Nations will be disasters. The United Nations will be dysfunctional. Let me be specific. That is the word of the United States ambassador to the United Nations. She said, Lena Thomas Greenfield said, you know, they always use the black man to go open his or wild mouth to talk against the black man. Lena Thomas Greenfield said, if Africa have a veto power on the United Nations will become dysfunctional. And guess what? She never said that by herself. Her master told her to come and tell her black brother and sister. It was the word of her master. It was the message from her master to come and tell her black brothers and sisters that they said if Africa have a veto power on the United Nations, then the United Nations will become dysfunctional. You know why they say that? They say that because they know most African leaders are dysfunctional. They know most African leaders are dysfunctional. They know most African leaders do not know how to rule. They know most African leaders do not represent their people, do not serve their people, do not serve for the purpose in which they were elected, voted for, do not serve the meaning of president in their very prospective colonial countries. So they are dysfunctional in those positions that they serve. So they send Leonard Thomas Greenfield to go and tell them that, no, you African leaders are dysfunctional. So if you have a veto power on the United Nations, you will be dysfunctional because you are corrupt. That is the way, if there is something that we need to veto on, we need to vote on, people will come and say their vote to you and they will buy your vote. Henceforth, the United Nations will become dysfunctional because most African leaders are dysfunctional. That was the word or the message of Lena Thomas Greenfield from her slave master, another black woman, taking the message, the word from her slave master to her black brothers and sisters that my slave master said, you people are dysfunctional. Is it a lie? Abba, it's not a lie. You are dysfunctional because you have no vision for your people. You are dysfunctional because you have no policy for Africa. You are dysfunctional because America have policy. She have foreign policy and local policy. What is your foreign policy and local policy, Africa? No, you don't, because you are dysfunctional. Europe have European policy and European foreign policy. What is Africa local policy and what is Africa foreign policy? You don't have it because you are dysfunctional. Europe have European interests. Americans have American interests. Africa, you do not have African interests because you are dysfunctional. That was the word of Leonard Thomas Greenfield. No! Africa, as a continent, you will not have a permanent seat because the United Nations will be dysfunctional. Yes, the United Nations, the United States, a small tiny nation, have a veto power because she is not dysfunctional. Russia, a small tiny nation, have veto power because she is not dysfunctional. China, she have it because she is not dysfunctional. Europe, a small continent, she have it because she is not dysfunctional. Maybe India, because she is not dysfunctional. But how can these tiny continent, these tiny nations have veto power? And Africa, the richest, biggest, do not have veto power because you are dysfunctional. Let's continue. Let's take a quick break here with these short videos. I'll be back.
It should not be called Elmina Castle. Elmina Castle. It should not be called Elmina Castle. It should be called Elmina Dungeon because nothing about this is a castle. So when all the slaves were brought into Elmina Castle, the females and the males were separated. And as you can see, this is the female slave dungeon. And I want to show you where the women had to walk to. So right now I'm at the Elmina Castle where 400 women will be kept here for slave trade. This is the actual dungeon still. Nothing's been changed. So the female slaves that survived, this was where they went. Their last walk. They call it the point of no return because they would go down there and you would never see them again. And that's when they would be traded off to be slaves. So here's a real ironic moment in the Elmina Castle. There's actually a church room where the officers had church. And to make it even worse, right on top of the female dungeon. So as I'm walking, under me, that's the female dungeon. And they were having church. They call this the door of no return because once slaves walked through it, they wouldn't return. Slave exit waiting for boats. So this is the real door of no return. Once the slaves came right here, they would walk out to the boats. Now you can see this is like, I could barely fit through this. Men and female walked through here because after being in the cage just for 3 to 4 months, they lost weight. So they lost enough weight to literally come out here. And then let me see my phone. I'm gonna show you what they saw when they came out. And these are the boats they would go to. This is the tunnel for the male slaves where they had to walk through. And they'll be kept in this room until they pretty much died because only 1/3 survived. So only 3 out of 10 survived. So none of the European soldiers came with women, their wives. So when they wanted to have sex, they would have sex with the slaves. And the women slaves would be brought out here, lined up, and they would literally look over and pick out the woman that they wanted to have sex with. It would be changed to their ankles. Oh my God. I can't even pick it up. But that's what makes it so terrible because I can't even lift it.
Yes.
And they were changed to it for how long?
Yeah, to be a day, 2, 3, or 4, depending upon
And these are the women that didn't want to be raped. How did they survive? I don't even know. 60 million slaves went through this. 40 million died, only 20 million made the journey. So that means if you are a descendant of slavery, you are part of the strongest bloodline of African people. And this is why we're so resilient. This is why there's so much about our essence, because we are descendants of the strongest slaves to endure anything that none of us can even imagine enduring today.
All right, thank you for watching. Now we are back. Before we transition to the next topic that we have, let me leave this with you before we go to the next topic. Oh no, this is not what I want. I will play this, but this is not what I want. Let me see here. Ooh. Okay, I think I lost it already. Okay. I know I lost it. All right. I lost it already. Okay. Okay. Let's transition to the next one. All right. Like I said, right, when we first started, I talked about anti-Trump. So there's a rally, there's a march coming up April 5th, and it's called Anti-Trump Rally to Washington, D.C., April 5th, right? And for those of you that want to go, you can go. You can go on your own. But what I want to say here is, don't allow anyone to identify your enemies. Don't allow anyone to tell you this is your enemy. You know your enemies already. You know who you are anti or anti to you. Don't allow anyone to tell you Donald Trump is anti to you. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Do not go for that march. Even as much as you can have your issue with Donald Trump, don't fall for it. April 5th, don't go there. Don't be part of that march. Don't be part. Don't go. Don't do it. Let's read. Wait, do I have the right? Oh, let me see. I hope it didn't change. Okay, that's it. Let me take this. Oh, hold on. Sorry, folks. Okay, I'm trying to get something out here. All right. Now, it says a large anti-Trump. A large anti-Trump. First of all, you are not an enemy to Trump. Just go to my people. You are not an enemy to Trump. You are not against Trump. You are not anti-Trump. Those who feel they are anti-Trump, let them go and let Trump see them. Do not be part of this. On that day, April 5th, I'm going to tell you the best thing to do on that day at the end of this video or at the end of this discussion. But let's continue. A large anti-Trump march in DC is scheduled for April 5th. Indivisible is one of the group. Indivisible is one of the group. My question to you is, have this indivisible group ever fought for you? Have this indivisible group ever fought for you? Have you ever heard about this indivisible group? Who are these indivisible group? An indivisible group is one of the group behind the hands off. Now, hands off what? Folks, do not go for this march. Hands off what? These people speak in code. They are speaking in code because they know black people love to march. They know black people like to walk. They know black people are not tired of marching. They know black people are not tired of walking. Indivisible is one of the group behind. Who are the other groups? Who are the other people? What are they marching for? They say hands off. Hands off what? Black people, pay attention. Be wise. Let me read. Indivisible is one of the group behind the hands off march. Hands off march. They did not explain anything. These people are speaking in code. Now, bear in mind, from the beginning, I told you, these are the same people who did not want for Donald Trump to take the seat of the presidency. They fought hard. They're talking to court, all kinds of allegation, all kinds of narrative, to the extent assassination attempt. You all saw it. To the extent when he was addressing the nation in Miami, there was group that was there, and you know them, and you saw some of them. The video we showed last 2 Sundays. There was group. One group was clapping for Donald Trump, and the other group was not clapping. They were setting their mad. They were angry, and I believe Nancy Pelosi was part of that group on the other side. That did not clap. They were mean. They were tired. They were frustrated. They were angry. Folks, my people, do not be part of this group. Do not be part of this march. This invisible, do you know them? Have they ever been part of your group? Have they ever come to your aid, to your frustration, to your cry? Who are they? Let me read. Indivisible is one of the group behind the hands off march, which will take place on the Washington Monument ground. Let's read. Let's read. You know, they want the numbers. They are looking for numbers. They want the numbers. Do not be part of those numbers or that numbers. Oh, man. I wish there's a better way I can explain to you. But this is the only way that I can explain. And I wish you can understand. Because I can't go deeper than this. I can't go deeper than this. You know what time it is. The way, the method in which our forefathers used to fight, we can't use that method. But we got to be wise enough to understand the little one that will come out. Let me go ahead. Do not be part of those numbers. That's what I can say. Let's read. The progressive group, invisible or indivisible, sorry. The progressive group, indivisible. Now, before you go out there to go march, to go and identify yourself that you are anti-Trump, to go and identify yourself that you hate Trump, before you go out there to march, do you know this progressive group, indivisible? Do you know them? Are you going to put yourself out there to make it known to Donald Trump that, yeah, I anti you? Because tomorrow, when you are being chased, when you are being necked down on, when people are kneeling on your neck, tomorrow, when your back is turned and you are running and they're shooting behind your back, tomorrow, when they pull your car over for a tail light, tomorrow, when you are being, hunted in jail or in cell and you are being killed and they say you kill yourself. These are instances that have happened. I'm just reminding you that there will be more to come. Like I said, I can't go deeper. I'm only naming instances that have happened. But let's continue. A hint is why it's quite sufficient. Be wise, my people, my brothers and sisters. Do not be part of this anti-Trump. Those who feel they are anti-Trump, let them go there. They should not sit home in their comfort zone with their children, with their kids, and they send you out there to go there. This march is not your march. Let's read. That is enough. The progressive group indivisible is part of the correlation of liberal group. Imagine Malcolm X told us the liberal and the conservative, they have the same aim. They might have different approach, but they have the same aim. My brothers and sisters, you are not part of that conservative and you are not part of that liberal. Let's continue. I'll stop right there. The progressive group indivisible is part of the correlation of liberal groups that planned nationwide protest on Saturday, April 5th, with a flagship march planned for Washington, D.C. The rally is called Hands Off. Hands off what? Folks, this is not for you. These are the elite. Hands off the elite. Imagine, we have said your time without numbers. Donald Trump is not a globalist. He's a nationalist. And being a nationalist is not a bad thing. In fact, I'm a nationalist. I don't have global interests because there's nothing like globalism. Hands off global agenda. Do not fight. Their fight is not yours. They said the rally is called Hands Off. They are saying Donald Trump's hands should be off the global agenda. Donald Trump is destroying and exposing the global agenda. Hands off. Let's continue. The rally is called Hands Off and hope to build on smaller demonstrations that have taken place as the Trump administration aided by Elon Musk, Doc, D-O-G-E. Imagine, Doc is the one that also brought up about USAID, that most countries around the world are angry. Folks, watch, pay attention. USAID is part of the global agenda. Imagine, it was the same Doc that came out and exposed the USAID or proxy war or supporting Boko Haram, supporting ISIS, supporting terrorists. So you know it is the same Doc that came out and exposed the USAID. And the USAID is an entity of the United States government. Hands off our global agenda. Hands off our global policy. This march is not for you. Be wise. Be wise. Do not go out there to identify yourself as an enemy. Be wise. Let's read. The rally is called Hands Off in hope to build a smaller demonstration that have taken place as the Trump administration aided by Elon Musk's Dark Project. Dark Project. You know, this Dark Project is a project that is there to expose the globalists. Be mindful, folks. Do not go there. Elon Musk's Dark Project has slashed the federal government. You hear it. Has slashed the federal government. Now you understand. They said hands off, but I am breaking it down for you, and now you understanding what hands off mean. They're speaking code. If you don't understand, if you don't follow platform like this, you will not understand. But now you understanding what a march is for. Elon Musk project has slashed the federal government. Indivisible co-executive director Ezra Levin told Rachel Maddow the DC event, which organized Hope, lot of their supporters will attend. They are looking for numbers. Don't be part of these numbers. Don't be part of these numbers. Hope to attend is scheduled to take place at the 7th Theater on the ground of the Washington Monument at 1 p.m. that day. I will tell you what to do that 1 p.m. that day. I will tell you what to do, and it will be the best thing you will ever do. As maybe you have never celebrated Black History Month, it will be the best thing you will ever do to celebrate Black History Month, even though Black History Month have passed in February. But we will repeat the celebration of Black History Month on April 5th at 1 p.m. Let's continue. Anti-Trump, again, you are not anti-Trump. Those who feel they are anti-Trump, let them go. Let the globalists go. Let the indivisible group go. Let the liberal group go. You are not part of none of those groups. You are not liberal. You are not indivisible. Let them go. Don't go. Anti-Trump protests during the second Trump administration have been relatively few compared with the first term. A phenomenon that reflects widespread weariness among the liberal. Again, now you understand who the hands off are. You are not identified here. Your problem are not identified here. Your plight are not identified here. Your petition are not identified here. Among liberals after Trump won election. Let me read this again. Anti-Trump protests during the second term administration have been relatively few compared with the first terms, a phenomenon that reflects a widespread weariness among liberal after Trump won last November. The People March. You are not part of these people. Again, the People's March. They're using call here. Don't be part. It's a call. The People's March, which took place around the time of Trump inauguration, and whose ambition were far more modest than the Women March that greeted Trump in 2017. Drew a much similar number of people than organizer Hope. Levin told Maddow, however, that his group is going through a wave moment where it seems large number of volunteers. Do not go. Do not be part of this volunteer organization. Don't go. Don't go volunteer yourself there to go identify yourself as an enemy to Trump. Why you want to do that? Why you want to go identify yourself as an enemy to Trump? For the liberal, for these indivisible people that you don't know, for these globalists, for the federal government. Why you want to do that? Please, don't do it. I will take this reading from here. A hint to a why is insufficient. Now I broke it down. You know who are they? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't be part. I'm not ready for this here. I will take it out. Let me bring something different. There's a video. Okay. Let me bring this higher. We're almost done, folks. Now, you see the people that are behind this. Do you know this person? Had this? Okay, let's continue here.
2025, millions of us across America are going to march in protest of the Trump administration. Please, please, please join us. Please share this video with as many people in America as you possibly can. You guys, we're running out of time. Trump is moving so fast and he's winning. We have to fight back. It's our last chance to ensure our democracy. Go to www.handsoff2025.com. www.handsoff2025.com. Please share this video with as many people as possible. We have to show up on Saturday, April 5th. Thank you.
All right. That's the announcement. But I know some of my black brothers and sisters are still going to go there and identify themselves that they are enemies. Put yourself in more harm. Don't go there. I'm telling you. Don't identify yourself. Because the same people that are telling you you are anti to Trump, they will never come and fight for you. They will never protect you. This is not about you. I can't talk more than this. Aha. You know what I mean?
Entertainers, athletes, and celebrities often walk a tightrope. They are rewarded when they align themselves with white-dominated cultural norms and punished when they challenge them. This pattern is not new. It's been part of the entertainment and sports industries for decades. Take Sidney Poitier. In the 1960s, he was celebrated as the first Black actor to win an Oscar, but he was also expected to be a safe figure for white audiences. Even at the height of the civil rights movement, he was careful about how he engaged in activism, knowing that stepping too far out of line could cost him roles. Meanwhile, Muhammad Ali, who refused to fight in Vietnam and spoke openly about racism, was stripped of his heavyweight title and vilified in the media. In the 1990s, Michael Jordan became the face of basketball corporate America. But part of his success was tied to his political neutrality, famously summed up in his alleged remark, "Republicans buy sneakers too." Contrast that with Colin Kaepernick, who knelt during the national anthem to protest police brutality. His career ended overnight, not because he couldn't play, but because he refused to conform. We see this pattern in entertainment too. Will Smith was Hollywood's golden boy for decades, known for his clean-cut image and box office appeal. But the moment he stepped outside of expectations, reacting emotionally in a space that demanded he remain composed, his career took a major hit. Meanwhile, Dave Chappelle walked away from a multi-million-dollar deal with Comedy Central because he saw how his comedy was being consumed by white audiences, and they called him crazy. They called him difficult. This isn't just about individual choices. It's about a system that rewards Black visibility only when it remains non-threatening. Step outside of those boundaries, and the backlash is swift. So the question isn't just who is allowed to succeed, but on what terms. Until Black celebrities can exist in their full humanity without being punished, America's celebration of diversity remains conditional at best. United.
All right. You heard it. That means this match is not for you. Where were they? The name that he called when they lost their job, Colin Kaepernick. He nailed them for a cause. Why didn't he march with him? Why didn't he kneel with him? He lost his job up to this time. Muhammad Ali. I mean, all those great names he called. I don't want to take his idea from him, but you heard it. I'm just trying to remind you. Who all came? The liberal, did they march with you? Did they solve your problem? There's so-called individual groups. The federal government, they did. This march is not yours. Do not go out there to identify yourself. And I love what he said at the end of the video. Until Black people can unite and see themselves doing it for themselves and know that we can do it without the others, and know that because we are not going anywhere because we want to get along with others, that's why we are not going anywhere. Until we can recognize that, nothing will be soft. If we are waiting for other people to come and join us, basically that's what this video, this white guy said. Until Black people, I mean, he named all those things, he named all those great African leaders. He named them all those great African warriors. He named them all those great African who have vision, who have plans, who have love for their people, right? He named them. What happened? There is a system, and the system scraped their neck and denied them. It is our system that you will be marching for if you dare go out there. It is that system you're going to be marching for if you dare go out there naked to go and march. You think you are marching. You are marching for a system who have never been there for you, who will never be there for you until you rise up as an African, as Black people, and decide to think for yourself and do for yourself without the involvement of other people. Until then, you will be there. And people will continue to use you for their own good. But again, like I said, I will give you the solution. What to do April 5th. That day. Go to Muhammad Ali grave and just sit down there and tell him thank you. Celebrate him. Worship him. Go to Malcolm X's grave that day. Tell him thank you. Pay homage to him. Tell him that today I am not marching because this march is not for me. Those that say Black people love to march. They are the one marching now. Let them go march. Don't be part of that march. Let them know how marching is. Go to Dr. King's grave that day and just worship him and tell him thank you and put some libation on his grave. Go to Rosa Parks' grave and just tell her thank you and put some libation on her grave. Read some books, some history book to your children. Read to your children. Don't just sit on Black History Day and eat hamburger, go and give them money. No, repeat Black History on this day, April 5th. Don't go anywhere. Don't march. Take your children to the library that day and let them read about Malcolm X. Let them read about Rosa Parks, Dr. King, and then, let them read about the cotton plantation, the sugarcane plantation, the lynching, selling black, giving black baby to alligators. Go and bring out those stories. Let them read on that day. That's how you should march. On that day, set home, and you can't go out to those places. Set home that day, eat and feed your children on that day. Say thank you to your ancestor. Thank you to your forefather on that day. Tell them thank you that they fought for you on that day. On that day. That's what you should do. On that day. On that day, that's what you should do. Don't march.
Kwame Nkrumah rested in peace. Who told you that Captain Thomas Sankara rested in peace? Who told you that Mwalimu Kambarage Julius Nyerere rested in peace? Who told you that Nelson Mandela rested in peace? Who told you that Patrice Lumumba rested in peace? Patrice Lumumba cannot rest in peace, yet he is seeing the situation in DRC of Congo. They can't all rest in peace until Africa is united.
So you mean they didn't rest in peace?
They didn't rest in peace, but they will actually find the peace when Africa is united, because that was their main objective, their main goal, what they were looking for.
If I'm to ask, what do they think about us who are alive, who are not taking care of Pan-Africanism and African unity in general?
Actually, Patrice Lumumba is very disappointed in the situation that is in DRC.
What's your take and what's the solution?
We should stop fighting each other, but use one language. We are one people.
To solve our problem?
Yes, we are one people of Africa. We must unite.
Actually, remove the wood and I see nice.
All right, folks, and I would thank you for being here. This is WCC. We always get it and holding going down. This is discussion. This is today's discussion. Sorry, this is today's discussions. Please like, share, subscribe. This is where you come. This is one of the platform. This is one of the revolutionary platform. You'll come and get the truth. No shaking. No sugarcoating. If you're an African leader, you're doing the wrong thing, we will put it in your face. We don't care. All right. This is where we discuss Black issues. We educate Black issues. We highlight it. And we know some of our leaders, our African leaders, they are learning. We know some of them watch this WCC. They watch it. All right. And some of them are learning. All right. And we are grateful to our ancestors, to our forefather, that some of them are learning, and that's what we want you to share as you anytime you come and hit the like button and stuff, because you gotta go. This is what we need to do to bring awareness. We got to make use of the technology. All right, we are winning. I can tell you that for sure. We are winning, and we are gradually getting there. And I can tell you, the colonizer, the enslaver, they are frustrated because they know that they have reached to a point, even nature is fighting them. They know that our forefathers are fighting them. We are not just in this battle alone. We are not just physically fighting this battle. This battle is being fought as well spiritually. That's why our forefather told us, call upon me. They told us that, call upon us. When you knew at any time we will be there. But we've been doing one of the mistakes we've been doing, we've been calling the name of those who are not our ancestors, those who are not our forefathers. We've been calling their name. And that's why nothing been happening. But I'm glad that we are calling on the name of our true identity. And that is why some things are being done spiritually, but we do not really understand because we don't understand the spiritual aspect unless you are in a spiritual moon, right? But again, this is the VCC. I am your host for the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series every Sunday of the VCC. I know we all are part, so it is because of you I'm here. See you Saturday and see you Sunday. Hopefully, maybe Nkuma will be back ready and Natasha will be ready. They've been busy, and that's why we have not been having a Saturday show. But I want to believe this Saturday we're going to be on. Until then, peace.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings. The white power structure to slow down that struggle for freedom and human dignity uses tricks. 100 years ago they could do it with chains. Today they use tricks. And one of the tricks that they've invented is this token integration. To get Negro, so-called Negro leaders to accept a few token crumbs of integration that don't solve any problem for the masses of black people in this country whatsoever, but it does make the hand-picked Negroes be satisfied to slow down the cry of the masses. And a good example of that is as soon as the spirit of rebellion or revolution begins to spread among the masses of black people